Alright people, so welcome to Jumbo IAS and welcome to UPSC Prelims Phoenix batch. In this batch, we revise the entire syllabus for UPSC Prelims examination. It includes both static as well as current affairs. Now this particular lecture is related to the current affairs series that we are running for UPSC Prelims examination. And in this current affairs series, we are currently on science and technology related current affairs. Now today is day 2 for science and technology related current affairs, and our today's targets, for which the notes have been already provided to you. Our today's targets were health and diseases. The previous daily targets were biotechnology, so day 2's targets would be related to that field only, biotechnology. That is why we have sequenced this in this manner. Okay, so today's targets are health and diseases. I am hoping that you have already gone through the notes because that was your revision number 1. And now, while you're watching this lecture, this would be your revision number 2. So we are going to revise all the important current affairs related to health and diseases through a set of 20 MCQs. Right? So without further ado, without further delay, let's straight away dive into the lecture. Let's begin. So science and technology current affairs, day 2, and today's targets were health and diseases. Basically, all the important current affairs related to these two topics. Okay, so let's start with question number 1. Okay, so with reference to global TB report, that is tuberculosis 2025, consider the following statements. For the first time since COVID-19 pandemic, global TB incidence and deaths have started to decline. TB has been surpassed by HIV/AIDS as the leading cause of death from single infectious agent worldwide. India accounts for more than 50% of global TB deaths. Okay, now, as per the latest report on tuberculosis by WHO, remember it is released by WHO, World Health Organization. Well, for the very first time since COVID-19 pandemic, we are witnessing a decline in global TB cases, and those cases include both TB incidence, which means how people having TB, and TB related deaths as well. There has been a decline in both. Because during COVID-19 pandemic, most of your health resources were diverted towards COVID-19. Okay, so TB and other diseases got a little neglected. But it is the first time since COVID-19, the resources are back on track and we are witnessing some results as well. So this is absolutely correct. But as far as being the number 1 killer in the world, TB tops the chart. Okay, TB is the number 1 killer in the world as far as a single infectious agent is concerned. It has surpassed HIV/AIDS also way back. So TB has been surpassed by HIV/AIDS? No, it's the other way around. Okay, as per the recent report. Now, if we compare countries, India has the largest burden of tuberculosis, but it is not as high as 50%. Okay, 50% would mean that half of the TB cases in the world are in India. That is not true. But yes, a significant chunk is in India. That is, 25% of global TB incidence is in India. 26% of global TB deaths are in India. Okay, so this is also false. It's not 50%, but it's still very high. Not half, but 1/4. Okay, so this is false. The answer would come out to be A. Okay, question number 2. Which of the following are identified by WHO as the major risk factors driving new TB cases globally? Major risk factors for TB. Undernutrition, tobacco smoking, alcohol use, diabetes, HIV infection. So look, TB is a respiratory disease. So definitely tobacco smoking would cause TB. Okay, alcohol use, too much alcohol also suppresses your immune system. Okay, same is the case with undernutrition. So these three things make you more vulnerable to TB infection. Okay, then diabetes also suppresses your immune system, and HIV is all about very low immunity. Your immune system is compromised in HIV. So all 5 factors increase your vulnerability, contribute towards more TB cases. So the answer to this question would come out to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, D. Okay, next. Consider the following pairs regarding TB diagnostic and treatment advances. New technologies have come out which test for better technologies to test TB. Okay, for sure. Diagnostic means testing for a disease, and treatment also. TNGS, direct detection of drug resistance for beta-quilline. Rapid molecular tests reached 75% global coverage in 2024. All oral regimens aimed at replacing injectable drugs to improve compliance. Now, these are some scientific advances. TNGS basically stands for Targeted Next Generation Sequencing. Okay, this is a test to check for drug-resistant TB. If you have TB, and generally when you have TB, you are prescribed bedaquiline. But if the bacteria is resistant to this drug, then you have drug-resistant TB. Okay, now how to test for drug-resistant TB? This new test has come out. Then there are various other tests also advanced, like rapid molecular tests. It is a better form of test with very high accuracy. Now, governments all over the world are trying to increase the coverage of these tests. And in 2024, it crossed the halfway mark and reached 54%. So 54% of all TB tests use rapid molecular tests. Okay, it's not 75%, it's 54%. 75% would have been almost complete. So this is false. Yes. You see, TB treatment is a very long treatment, and many people leave the treatment in between because it is a little painful because of some injectable drugs, because of some injections. So recently, well, there have been some new advancements where all the medicines would be oral, all oral regimens. People don't mind oral medicines, they mind injectable drugs. So WHO in India has re-strategized. They are saying that we are now going to introduce all oral treatments so as to improve compliance. People follow it. So this is correct. So only two statements are correct in this case because the second statement is false. All right, next. With reference to trachoma, consider the following statements. It is a neglected tropical disease caused by viral pathogen. India was validated by WHO for eliminating trachoma as public health problem in 2024. Safe strategy for elimination includes surgery, antibiotics, facial cleanliness, and environmental improvement. Now, trachoma is basically an eye infection, which is one of the leading causes of blindness also. It is such a severe infection that it even causes blindness, but it is an eye infection. And it is a tropical disease. It is a neglected tropical disease, but it's not caused by virus. It is caused by a bacteria. Name of that bacteria is Chlamydia trachomatis. Okay, this is the name of the bacteria. So, chlamydia. The spellings might be a little faulty, but the correct spellings are given in your notes. So, this statement is false. Now, yes, the reason why trachoma was in the news was because WHO lauded India's efforts. India wanted to remove a trachoma as a public health problem, and it achieved success in 2024, and it was validated by WHO. So, WHO patted Indian health departments on their back. So, that is correct. Okay, and to remove trachoma as a public health problem, India applied SAFE strategy. Now, what is SAFE strategy? Basically, it is a strategy where surgery if the infection is too severe, antibiotics to kill the bacterial infection, facial cleanliness, because hygiene is very important, and making the environment also clean so that people don't catch this bacteria. This strategy was applied. So the answer to this question would come out to be B. Okay, next. Regarding hepatitis D virus, which of the following statements are correct? It has been classified as a group 1 carcinogen by IARC, WHO IARC in 2025. It is a satellite virus that requires the surface antigen of hepatitis B to replicate. There is a specific widely available vaccine for HDV independent of HBV vaccine. Now, listen to me very carefully. Hepatitis viruses, there are different categories of hepatitis viruses. Okay. Now, hepatitis viruses cause liver infection, B, C, and D. They are called HBV, HCV, HDV. Hepatitis B virus, hepatitis C virus, hepatitis D virus. Now, hepatitis B and C, these infections, these viral infections can also cause liver cancer. Okay, so they affect your liver. They cause liver infection, and in some advanced cases, they even cause liver cancer. Now, recently, earlier it was thought that hepatitis D virus causes infection, but it doesn't cause cancer. Okay, plus there is one problem with hepatitis D virus. Okay, if you are just affected with hepatitis D virus, no disease would show. This virus requires hepatitis B, okay, to cause infection. So basically, if your body does not have HBV, HDV can't do anything. HDV virus requires HBV virus to cause infection. Okay, that is why it was neglected. But recently, WHO has classified this also as a carcinogen. Earlier, HBV, HCV were carcinogens. Carcinogens are those which cause cancer. Now, HDV has also been categorized as group 1 carcinogen. Okay, it is a satellite virus, which means it cannot do anything without HBV. It requires antigen on HBV virus to replicate, multiply. This is absolutely true. Okay, now, as far as HBV is concerned, there is a vaccine. But for HDV, there is no vaccine. Why? Because why should we need HDV vaccine? If your vaccine can prevent HBV, HDV can't do anything because HDV requires HBV. So if you're immune from HBV, you're automatically immune from HDV. Okay. So there is a specific widely acceptable available vaccine for HDV? No, because we don't require it. We require it for HBV. So this is false. The answer would come out to be 1 and 2, B. Okay. Next. Consider the following statements about viral hepatitis. Hepatitis B is a DNA virus, while C and D are RNA viruses. All three are classified as group 1 carcinogens. We have discussed this already. Superinfection of HDV in a chronic HBV patient is generally less dangerous than co-infection. Now remember, superinfection is that infection which you have a severe HBV infection and then you have a severe HDV infection. That is more dangerous, not less dangerous. It is the most dangerous. So this is definitely false. Second is definitely true. And well, remember this, B is DNA virus, all the others are RNA viruses. Now, what's the difference between RNA DNA virus? Well, we'll cover it sometime later, okay? Because the lecture would become extremely lengthy and no question would be asked. They would just ask which virus is DNA, which virus is RNA. So just remember these two facts. The answer would come out to be A. Right? Next. With reference to HPV, HPV stands for human papilloma virus. Okay. HPV and cervical cancer in India, consider the following. HPV 16 and 18 are responsible for vast majority of cervical cancer cases in India. Cervavac is an indigenous quadrivalent vaccine developed by Serum Institute of India. WHO's 90-70-90 strategy target aims for 70% vaccination of girls by the age of 15. Okay. So HPV virus is that virus which causes cervical cancer in females. Okay. Now, there are various viral strains of HPV virus. Okay. HPV 16, HPV 18, there are various strains. But these two strains cause around 85% of cervical cancer cases in India. Okay. So this is correct. Now, Cervavac is a vaccine against HPV and against 4 strains of HPV, which include 16, 18 and 2 others. That is why it is called quadrivalent vaccine. That means 4 strains of HPV. And it was developed by Serum Institute of India. This is correct. Now, to tackle cervical cancer cases, well, WHO proposed 90-70-90 strategy. 90 means that 90% of females under 15, girls under 15 should be vaccinated. 70 means that 70% of females of the age group 35 and 45 should be screened for HPV infection. Screened, tested. And 90 again means treatment of 90% people suffering from this infection. 90, 70, 90. 90% people would be treated. Okay, this is the target. So WHO 90-70-90 target aims for 70% vaccination of girls. No, 90% vaccination of girls. So this is false. Okay. The answer again to this question would come out to be 1 and 2 only, A. Right? Next. Consider the following